We have our Chief Executive Officer, Wandile Mtshali, who's going to be speaking to us. So at this point, may I invite Wandile to come through and just give us a broad view in terms of... Can we mute as we get ready to start? Actually, this is reminding me of the ground rules. And I want to encourage all of us to be on mute as this session progresses so that there is no disturbance to the speaker. Secondly, I would like to encourage you as well to use our chat box. If you have questions or feedback, please do feel free to utilize the chat box so that we can make this session as interactive as it should be, so that we're able to make the most out of the session. At this point, may I invite Wandile Mtshali to come through and give us an overview of this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mandla, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning on this very important FinTech Indaba. We're hoping and we believe that it is going to be as interactive as possible and will be interesting for all of us. I think our intention today is not only to give you an overview of where FinTech is in the kingdom, but also to get some feedback from yourselves on where you believe MTN should focus its business, its FinTech business going forward, and also to see where as MTN we can be able to assist yourselves and to see how you can grow your own business. I think the topic today is basically focusing on FinTech as the driver for the economy of the kingdom going forward. So really, we appreciate you having time to spend with us. I think for the next 2 hours or so, we'll definitely try and make it as interactive and as interesting as possible. We want to thank all our speakers today who are joining us. We have very skilled speakers that are going to share with us some ideas around FinTech. And I believe at the end of the session, we'll be able to have a clear picture of what we want to achieve as MTN, as well as our various industries going forward. So I think I'll just share a few slides, Mandla, just to kick off this session. Just let me know if it is visible from your side. Is it visible, Mandla? Is it?
Yes, it is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So the topic we want to deal with today is economic growth through FinTech. And I think as the Kingdom of Eswatini, we are saying this space is something that we want to develop as MTN, and we see the potential for each and every business that is here. I think here we've got various people coming from the finance industry, coming from regulators. We've got the banking environment. So all of the people that are really interested in knowing more about the FinTech business, I think this is what we're going to try and speak to today. And so all of the speakers that will come through today will address various aspects around the FinTech business. But I think it was important for us as MTN to start off with giving an overview of where we are and what we are here for and where we are heading going forward. So I think it's always important for us to always start off with our vision as MTN globally as well as MTN Eswatini. Our vision is to lead the delivery of a bold new digital world to our customers. And I believe we have been able to achieve this vision over the past few years. And going forward, it is still a vision that we want to pursue and make sure that each and every Leswati in the Kingdom of Eswatini has access to digital services through MTN. Our mission is to make sure that our customers' lives are made a whole lot brighter. And again, here, we've done a lot. And I think bringing in the GSM network, which today sits at just over 95% coverage. We've done a lot around making sure that we bring in digital services, data services, so our customers can enjoy data services wherever they are at very, very good broadband speeds. And also we brought in FinTech or mobile money, which is what we're going to spend a lot of time today speaking through. So our customers' lives, I believe that are much, much brighter than where we were probably 10, 15 years ago. So, and this is then saying that we are able to achieve our mission going forward. Now, I think it's important for me to start off as well to give you an idea of where we're coming from a mobile money or fintech space in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Here in this slide, I've just shared a few of some testimonies from our customers who have enjoyed mobile money services over the past few years. If you look at where we started off in mobile money, we started mobile money around 2011. And if you look at the numbers at that time, we probably started with about 50,000 customers in 2011. Most of the services at that time for mobile money were person-to-person transactions, so which means when you are sending money to another person or you are receiving money from one person going through the various mobile money channels or agencies across the country. That was the business that we started off with in 2011. It grew for the past 9 years. Next year, it's important to note that we'll be celebrating 10 years of mobile money in the Kingdom of Eswatini. And so some of the achievements that we have really gone through, I will share with you in the slides coming through. But I think certainly our customers have really enjoyed the mobile money services and the mobile money platform over the past 9 years. The person-to-person transactions are still one of the leading transactions within the mobile money space. So for those in Eswatini who are not banked, it was important for us to get into a space where we speak about financial inclusion. And so mobile money addresses that question. So a customer that does not necessarily have to own a banking account, but with their mobile device and their mobile number, they're able to use mobile money services. So financial inclusion was very important for us when we came into this market with mobile money solution. So you see some of the customers are saying they've been using mobile money to pay their bills, particularly water services, electricity units. They've been using their mobile money platform to be able to buy some other services such as funeral cover. Getting loans now it's easy through Mtn mobile money platform. A lot of our customers now are enjoying quick loans which can be used at any time of the day. And I think this is really something that you probably not be able to achieve in other financial systems. So I think mobile money has really achieved quite a lot in that play. Also, Momopay, you go into a number of retail shops across the country, which I'm going to speak to later on. These services are available. And when we started off with Momopay, we're not charging the customers when they pay through mobile money. And really, this is something that we used to drive mobile money across the country. And when I'll show you the numbers, you'll really appreciate that so many of our customers have really enjoyed Momopay throughout the country and throughout small and medium enterprises. Today, we're speaking to customers just over 700,000 in 2020, and these numbers is going to continue to grow going forward. So for all of you, if you look at your business environment, if you look at where you are, you can be able to tap into this number of customers that can use mobile money as a means of payment and also as a means of doing any fintech transactions. If you look at where some of the benefits for customers, especially from business perspective, collections of payments can be done through mobile money. And really, this brings in a lot of efficiencies. You can also use mobile money for payment of your employees. You can use mobile money to pay your suppliers. And really, again, here, efficiencies are really very good. I think from a cost perspective, it is much cost effective to use mobile money as a means of these transactions. Selling services online, I think if you speak to what we've seen with COVID-19 in 2020, where a lot of businesses were either operating from home and a lot of people are working from home and be able to buy a lot of services in the market. They're able to pay using mobile money. And again, here, it basically says that mobile money is a means on which our customers can enjoy services from the comfort of their home. You can be able to integrate with APIs, and I'll try and speak to that going forward. But I think as we have this Indaba we're probably going to speak to a lot of the fintech startups who are looking at bringing in mobile money as a payment system and developing a lot of solutions for the markets out there. So I think this is an opportunity that we're going to share with you, so that those people that are really skilled around developing of solutions, applications, will take mobile money, or they'll take the fintech solution going forward. I spoke to getting loans. A lot of people have really enjoyed the MTN loans, and we're looking at ways in which we can improve on this going forward. Today, you can get a loan from mobile money up to 300 malangeni, and this is something that we are now saying we're going to grow it more and more going forward, so that you can be able to even secure much bigger loans and be able to get and achieve some of your personal needs. Some of the value that we've brought in for the agents through the country, and I think if I show you some of the figures, you'll really appreciate that we've brought in a lot of businesses, for smaller businesses and medium businesses in the Kingdom of Eswatini, across the market today and across the country today. We're speaking just over 10,000 agents that are using mobile money for transactions. And this is basically giving employment to Emaswati and using mobile money as means of making a living in the kingdom. So I think for us, it is really something that we've been able to achieve in the past 9 years, where we've had mobile money as a means of payments in the kingdom. Now, looking at Momopay, and I think I've spoken through that, you've seen that it has been growing over the past few years, and it is going to continue to grow. We're projecting that by 2023, we'll have just over 1,600 merchants that are going to be out there in the kingdom. So this is something that you as the business people should take advantage of. This is access. It is easy access to a payment system. Will be able to achieve some of your business objectives. Very low cost payment method. Again, it is almost instant. When you do a transaction today on mobile money, it instantly gets to where you are paying, or if you are receiving money, it is instant. So there's no delay in where you need to do a switching of transactions. So it is really something that is instant, and it's really something that works. It has worked over the years, and I believe that it is going to grow your own business environment. Secondly, I think mobile money for businesses, especially the small and medium enterprises, it gives you the unlimited growth in your business. So MTN Momo Business is something that we're now with the APU space for all the businesses, small and medium enterprises, but as well as making sure that within your own environment, you can use mobile money for other services such as collections. Today, probably most of your collections are done through a banking environment. You can use mobile money as a collection system. And this is something that we've really rolled out to the number of organizations, even big organizations, where they use mobile money as a collections method. Moment with disbursements, and I'm sure some of you would have heard what are the things that we as MTN have achieved around disbursements. Today we're disbursing social grants to elderly and disabled persons across the Kingdom of Eswatini very efficiently, and we're doing it as instantly as possible. So when it is a date when we disperse these amounts to the various people and beneficiaries across the country, they get it instantly. And so this is something that mobile money brings into the population. We do a lot of disbursements as well with a number of NGOs that come to us and they say they need assistance in terms of disbursements. We believe that we should be able to push this into small and medium enterprises where you now today should be able to pay your salaries, you pay your employees' salaries through mobile money. And the guarantee again is that immediately you press a button to say you're doing a transfer of salaries, your employees will receive that amount instantly and be able to enjoy and make payment and use that money that has been allocated. Paying suppliers, this is something that we are driving as MTN. And we've got use cases where we've seen this work. And I believe that today, as we speak to you, you'll be able to consider it in your businesses and see what are the opportunities that you can use around disbursements of mobile money and payments as well. The third one that probably I'll speak to is around the open APIs. And open APIs basically enables developers, all those high-tech skilled people that are out there in the country to tap into the fintech space and come up with innovations, come up with solutions that will enable businesses through the country to be able to use fintech services either for disbursements, for collections, for transfers, for anything that is out there. Especially if you look at the market, the Momo marketplace. Today, it's not there. Probably some businesses could claim that they have a marketplace, but it's something that we as MTN are saying it is possible. So you could develop app where customers can be sitting in the comfort of their home to purchase a number of services, goods and services, and be able to get that delivered through the marketplace. So this is something that we are seeing it's an opportunity that we are exploring as MTN, and we're willing to support businesses across the country. So if any of you businesses want to see how they can tap into the APIs, we are able to, and we are here to assist you and see what we can do. So the developer community, I remember a few years ago we ran competition through the central bank where we were asking for the young developers to come in and use these APIs to develop really good applications. And we saw this happening. So it is an opportunity for yourselves to look at your environment and see where we can come in and help you through the APIs to develop some solutions for your businesses. Small fintech players, the startups, we as MTN are here to assist all of you. You can come in and speak to us and show us what you're capable of doing, and then we can give you access to the APIs. We can give you access to even platforms that we have within the kingdom, so that within MTN, so that you can then develop solutions for the population within the Kingdom of Eswatini. Innovation hubs, again, this is something that we really putting a lot of effort in as MTN to make sure that we can continue to develop our own young people, develop all the skills that we need so that people can be able to use the fintech services going forward. So fintech startups, please, we're here to support you so that you can then be able to realize the use of these open APIs and come up with really some good products and services to supply to the Kingdom of Eswatini. Then this slide is just going to speak to what are the areas that we see as fintech going forward, and particularly in the area of e-commerce. You can use the fintech business as you're thinking around the areas within your business. You can use a fintech business for selling products through the applications that you developed through the APIs. So you can digitize small merchants. So some of these services today, when you need to walk into a shop, say, for example, you're running a small general dealer, you're running a small service, consulting services, you can sell those products through the fintech solutions. And so today, we are now talking about a platform that is going to enable you to improve around the selling of products and services coming through from your various businesses. You can also buy services, bring the customers and buy services. So here we talk about the various methods in which customers can access fintech or mobile money services and be able to purchase services such as through USSD. The applications, I think this is really now the new normal. Applications, the good thing about them is you can actually visualize some of the things that you are actually paying or buying, and as well as through the web interfaces. This is something that I think is going to be growing very soon going forward. Pay for services, again, use seamless payments. COVID-19 in 2020 has really enabled us to fast track the issue of online payment or seamless payment. So now it has enabled our customers and the population at large not to use cash when they do transactions, but to pay for services as well as products through mobile money. And as well as the delivery of some of the services, it's again here, this is something that we believe fintech is going to bring into this space going forward. So again, yeah, this in summary, here we're just basically saying you can use all of these through fintech. You can sell services you can make payments, you can also do deliveries through the fintech business going forward. Now, the last slide, Amanda, just to summarize, it's just to give an indication to the rest of us that we have achieved so much, and so many and I'm sure some of you might not be aware that we've got so many small and medium enterprises and businesses through the country that today are using mobile money or fintech platforms to be able to pay for all the services that they provide through the country. So you can see already all of these ones. So from the banking perspective, you can go into the bank and transact and withdraw mobile money or deposit mobile money. You can go into eateries and pay for whatever restaurant food that you purchase. And you can go to all of other service providers throughout the country where each one of you can be able to enjoy mobile money. So I think here, this is still growing. And we've just shown here some of the bigger enterprises. But I think you can actually see that we are now reaching hundreds and hundreds of enterprises that are using mobile money as means of payment. And this is now our aim and our objective as MTN is that we should see this growing going forward. And so definitely we are now saying to all of you, look at your space, look at your industry, and see where we as MTN can come in and assist you to grow your business through fintech. Because like we're saying today, the economy of the kingdom, the economy of your own industry can grow through mobile money, and we're bringing you a platform that will enable you to grow as a business. So again, here, Mandla, thank you very much. It was just to, again, appreciate all of you. Let's have a session, interactive session, making sure that you ask those questions and give us some ideas, give us your own input, and definitely we're going to take that and respond accordingly as well. Thank you so much, and I wish you a very good session today, Mandla. Thanks.
Thank you, CEO, for that broad presentation on what is happening, particularly in the mobile money space. But of course, this session is more than just about mobile money. It is about the broad brush of initiatives that are available, the digital technologies that we can take advantage of as a small and medium enterprises so that we stimulate growth in our enterprises. So thank you once again for that presentation. I have just dropped a text that please do feel free to engage with us via the chat box. We will readily provide responses to questions. We will proceed with our engagement session, and at this point, I will call upon Sam Shongwe, who's going to take us into specifics. The CEO was just giving us a broad picture, something like a macro picture, and then Sam is going to delve into specifics now, into financial technologies, and giving us a broad sense in terms of the different technologies, the ecosystem wherein mobile money also features as well. Sam, are you ready? Sam Shongwe, good morning.
Morning, Mandla.
All right. Do we have a question, Lungile?
Yes, Mandla, thank you so much. I was just looking at the comment from DG Image.
Okay.
Yes, that he says, just to respond to Mr. Mjali, that thank you for a wonderful presentation. MTN has done a great job, a very good job in embedding mobile money in the country. Do you have the actual stats of the age groups that are major users of mobile money? I think us just speaking to some of those comments, also from Sabelo Mabuza, on how far are we with this, the payment of interest in the wallet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lumina, for that. The one that requires age groups, I'll throw it to Sam. He should be able to respond to that as he goes through the presentation. For today, let us spare the CEO and let him rest, and Sam is going to take care of this question. Sam, can I turn it over to you?
Thank you so much, Program Director. Good morning, colleagues. Specifically, good morning to my fellow speakers and our esteemed partners within the financial services space, distinguished guests in the business community, NGOs, government, and also media present. Mine will be very brief, as Mandla has actually stated. It's basically to look at our journey in terms of fintech, where we've come from, and where we are going to, and what are the specific things that we can actually do within the fintech space. Our CEO has eloquently articulated a detailed overview on the MTN fintech services. Then going forward, maybe just to highlight the objective also of this session is to discuss basically how we can drive business growth through fintech. We have a wide-ranging expert speakers who will be speaking after me, who will share with us their views, knowledge, and experience in this area to enable us to build on fintech and to build on fintech to grow business and uplift our economy, especially during these trying times of COVID-19. In terms of where we are actually coming from as a business around fintech, maybe just to give a bit of background, we started or launched mobile money in 2011, May 2011. At the time, if you compare the growth, as the CEO had actually stated, the growth between then and now, we have seen growth of about from 50,000 to over 700,000 that are now registered on the platform, which is actually quite a good growth. And also, in the background of the launch of mobile money services was the issue of financial inclusion. We will have a speaker that will actually talk more about financial inclusion. And what we have actually picked up is that mobile money has actually contributed significantly towards the increase in financial inclusion in the country. Then in terms of what do we actually have on the platform right now, from the basics that we started with the basics where it was merely a service, which was actually meant to actually show, give people the ability to send money and receive money from one place to another place. We've actually seen growth in that area. And then we've actually grown the business in terms of adding other value-added services to the ones that actually the CEO had actually alluded to. So it's been a movement from just merely a service to actually a fintech service provider. Now, in terms of going into specifics around how we actually got there, which is actually talking to from the basic to the ecosystem that we're talking about currently. The buzzword is always around fintech ecosystems that are in the country. In Eswatini, and also from an MTN Group perspective in the countries that we operate in, we have seen the journey starts in a three-phased approach, where we start with the basics in terms of Momo basics, mobile money basics, where we're talking about person-to-person, cash in, cash out. Obviously, as a GSM operator, we leverage also on our ability to supply airtime, which is our core business. And this was something that actually gave our customers the freedom to be able to buy airtime as and when they want to from the comfort of their own homes. And that also came with the development of a distribution platform. So, like it's already been mentioned, we have over 10,000 agents that are registered, which is actually another way of saying we've actually been able to create employment for over 10,000 people who on a day-to-day basis actually trade in mobile money. So at the time, the platform was basically mainly USSD based, and we had integrations to only one bank at the time. And actually the main focus was around the stability of the platform. So once we've actually stabilized the platform, we then move towards development of the ecosystem, which is the second phase, which we are actually partly in and moving to the third phase currently as we speak. This phase of the ecosystem is basically where now we are talking about the Momopay, what the CEO has actually spoken about, the ability to enable customers to make payment for goods and services using mobile money. Also, involving more businesses to be able to take mobile money as an alternate way of payment. This actually then reduces the risk of handling cash and also gives more efficiencies in terms of the banking ability of some of our players. What is actually key here is that the Momopay that we also included, that we introduced about 2 years ago, evolved to also include informal sector. By doing that, then what we're doing is that we are actually including those who were previously financially excluded in their businesses, and they become part of included businesses, in the sense that now you should be able to go to the market and be able to pay using mobile money. And that actually then sets a record that can be used for that person to further engage with other financial institutions in terms of financial transactions. That trail is there, and Mtn is always willing to provide that, and also partner with other financial services who can provide more services to these people. The ecosystem also now talks to the interoperability in terms of between other players. We are looking at players in terms of what we have as the banks or financial institutions, but also now we have other GSM operators and mobile money operators. We are actually in the process of launching an interoperability with those players this current month that we're in. This phase also looked at the development and improvement and enhancement of the user experience, where we then now started introducing the apps. We actually linking to our web portals. So people now are getting more advanced from just the mere USSD that we used to have, that we still have, but now we're advancing them to be able to use their smartphones and be able to use apps. This has actually now attracted a number of FinTech startups to be able to use our platform and actually grow the e-commerce space. And also we have then made it easier to be able to integrate into the platforms, be it existing financial institutions or the FinTech startups that we're talking about. I think the third layer, which is what the CEO had actually mentioned earlier, is where we start looking at even easier integration, which talks to your open APIs, that layer that will actually make it very easy for small businesses to actually tap in and be involved, included in the platform of mobile money. This will actually make it easier for them to actually sell their services to their customers. In fact, this actually also increases the number of customers that we will actually have in the financial services space. And as we see the youth start being more involved, we are seeing them, they're actually more adapting towards the apps and so forth. And that is where the future of our business is actually going into. There was a question around the age. Obviously, when we talk about the number of customers and the type of segments that we're looking at, we have quite a broad segment in terms of the demographics, in terms of age, but there's quite a lot of the middle age on the platform. And one of the fastest growing, maybe because of the FinTech services, which is the apps that we're actually talking about, is actually the youth. Because of regulatory requirements where mobile money is mainly for the adult population, which is mainly the over 18. So obviously the bulk of your customers are people who are actually over 18. And then the moving on in the same phase, in terms of the third phase, which is the FinTech platform, we are talking about the growth of the marketplace, the growth of e-commerce services, which our CEO actually earlier alluded to. Now, maybe just to go out of Eswatini and just maybe look at what is actually the movement in other areas that we look at. MTN is a global player. It's a player mainly in Africa with a number of mobile money services deployed in our operations in Africa. What we've actually seen that there's actually quite an evolving dynamic around the players that we're seeing. For instance, where we actually see the traditional connectivity providers like MTN are also evolving into the fintech space, providing payment and services in terms of financial services. So you have your MTN and other players similar that are actually doing that. We are also seeing several Pan-African institutions moving into the fintech space as well. Digital players are moving into the fintech space, mainly because fintech provides the convenience and ability of effectively scaling up your business and being able to reach more customers than ever before. So it's actually becoming something that is actually showing the fastest growing area of being able to tap in and including customers that are not financially included. We are seeing traditional digital players like your OTTs that are actually coming in, also using digital having digital financial offerings, your PayPal, your Facebooks, and so forth. So the fintech space is actually converging in terms of everyone. Your traditional banks are also moving towards the fintech space to be able to access the customer. So in turn, what we are seeing is that everything is evolving towards the fintech space. Digital payments are accelerating. And also what is actually key, certainly key in our space in Eswatini, regulators are also alive to this changing landscape and playing their role in opening digital transaction limits for fintech players. As an example, what we have seen in our country during the COVID-19, our regulators actually, when we started, we had a limit of 4,000 Malangeni. As we actually grew the KYC requirements, we were able to grow that to 25,000 Malangeni as we're able to get more KYC of our customers. But what the regulators have actually done during the pandemic was also increase the limits so that people can be able to transact more and have more in their wallets. And more importantly, to reduce the scourge of this pandemic, people can then be able to stay at home without having to actually move a lot, as well as to limit the exchange of cash, which actually seems to be one of the ways of passing on this deadly virus. Also, what we have also seen in terms of our merchants and agents, they have actually grown to use more of the bank platforms that are there available in our country. So things like or facilities like push pull, being able to pull cash into your mobile money wallet and also taking your mobile money into your bank account has actually been something that we've seen a growth in our country. And this actually makes it easier for most of the businesses to actually transact and manage their businesses. Because as I mentioned earlier on, there is always that trail of transactions that we can actually see on a day-to-day basis. So the convenience of this platform is actually something that we had actually not seen before when FinTech had not scaled up to the level that it has come to. The last thing that I probably would like to touch on is around MTN Momo. Where do we see ourselves? As I mentioned, we have started the game as a basic player, and we have moved from a service provider just being a services, but we've actually moved to being a FinTech, a fully fledged FinTech platform, and that's what we want to do. We want to be at the center of the business transactions that are actually happening. Previously, we had parallel integrations where single integrations where we're integrating with one partner and another partner. But now we want to be at the center of all the verticals, being able to service all our customers. When we talk about our customers, we're talking about the consumers of our services. We're also talking about the businesses that are providing services to our consumers, who are also our customers. And that means that we need to continuously have a balance between how we actually structure our products. So which means that our product design at all times must be structured in such a way that it caters for the needs of all our customers and also improves the customer experience. What we have seen from 2011 till 2020 is that definitely the customer experience, the customer journeys, we're continuously improving those to enable our customers to easily transact on our platform. So it's very important for us that we ensure that the customer journey at all times is a hassle-free journey as possible, and the products that we have add value to all our customers, brightening their lives on a day-to-day basis, as that is what our vision is, and to ensure that we give our customers the best service as possible. As we say at MTN, you, our customers, deserve the best at all the time, always. Thank you very much. So, President, I'll take any questions.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Sam, for that insightful presentation. We have a question from one of our guests that is following this session on Facebook. The question from Bui Lighter is, what is the approach towards older people using Momo? I thought you would want to say something in terms of what progress the company has made around the payment of social grants. Sam?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. That's actually quite a good question. And I think earlier on the CEO had touched on what we have actually been involved in terms of the disbursement of social grants. For me, I think having been in the field with the team when we started this earlier this year, very early in the year when the COVID-19 had actually started, it was very touching people being able to come out and get a hold of the social grant system and be of service was actually quite touching. So our position around that is that we want to make it as easy as possible for GoGo to be able to collect their social grant. One, it's obviously is a journey that we are trying to educate, and what we have seen in the 3 social grants that we have done so far, it's been a journey where basically they did not understand how the service works. When we came back, now they understand the service. There were issues around, for instance, forgetting your PIN. So the last one that we're actually currently doing right now, we don't have much of PIN reset. They understand the security features around it. They understand that they need to keep their PIN to themselves. And what this also helps with is that it actually ensures that to the right person. With the KYC that has actually been done and being able to now specifically understand what the ID number of the recipient is, which is actually tied to the mobile money account, then we actually make sure that that person is the person that actually claims the funds. But what is key in the future for us, what we want to be able to do, we want the elderly to be able to be key players in the financial services space. What I mean by that is that we're on the platform. So they do not need to actually take out or cash out their funds. They should be able to walk to the nearest shop, buy groceries using mobile money. They should be able to buy electricity. They should be able to pay for water services. In the future, actually, what we're also looking at, they should be able to go pay for transport services. When you hop onto a bus, GoGo should be able to do that. So a wallet and something that if someone was to take it away from them, they don't lose their funds. So basically, what we used to see in the past, Gogo would put their money under their pillow, under the bed, but in their handset, it's actually much safer. And that's what we want to see as we go on. And we are continuously educating Gogo on that, or the elderly around.
Thank you, Sam. And speaking about the future, there is a question from Nandogoza Davidson, which says there's a growing trend in East and West Africa where fintechs are linking smallholder farmers to various service providers, for instance, insurance, weather reports, farming best practices, financial records for access to finance, to mention but a few. Are there any plans in place to expand MTN's ecosystem to this space? Your quick reaction, Sam.
Definitely, Mandla. That is basically where we want to get to. The first step, obviously, was to actually create a conducive platform where everyone can be able to get on the platform. So the future for us is we really want to play around areas like agri-tech. Government is one of our key partners, which actually drives the economy. Ours is mainly to change that so that businesses can be players and be able to lead the economy. So when you talk about agricultural products, the marketplace we're talking about, sell their products. We also want to be able to share information around where are the markets, what is the weather looking like, the climate, what can be planted. So the partnerships that we want to have with these players are actually going to be talking to them. So that's definitely the way, the journey that we want to take going forward.
All right, thank you, Sam. Another question, I am aware that maybe one or two of our participants would want to know. There has been discussion around the issue of remittances, using mobile money in remittances. What would be your reaction to that?
So I'm assuming when you're talking about remittances, you're talking about cross-border, not national remittances.
Exactly. If I want to send money to South Africa or to Zimbabwe or to Zambia, is it going to be possible via MTN Momo?
We are actually working on that, and that will be possible in the coming few months. We're actually will be launching something similar to that. It's something that we have been working with in partnership with our partners outside the country, and also with the guidance of the central bank, our regulator. So we're looking forward to delivering on that product to our customers.
The final one from me, Sam, is that people have been saying they would like to have one or two Momo accounts where one is used for savings and the other one is a transactional account. Are there no process in place?
Thank you so much, Mandla. That's a very critical point. And when we talk about growing our businesses and growing the economy, it's very critical that we should be able to separate between our personal funds and our business funds. And that is actually what is happening in other markets. We have seen that they are able to have more than one account. MTN would actually like to do in the very near future. So we should be able to do that, obviously following the right regulatory, making sure that we have put the best controls in terms of compliance around it. We are working on actually being able to develop something like that for our customers.
Fantastic. Can I take this one from Chandan? What is MTN's plan for creating an open marketplace for offering services like micro-lending for consumers and even helping merchants with their cash flows and managing their daily stocks? Your reaction to that?
So I think when we talk about e-commerce and we talk about fintech services, that is basically what we want to be able to do. We want to be able to assist all players in the value chain in terms of the commerce space. So our partnerships with some of the institutions that actually provide this kind of services are very key to us. The marketplace we're talking about, that we actually mentioned earlier, is actually trying to do that. So at some point, we should have a marketplace where players should be able to actually provide goods and services without much restriction or without much one player restricting or having an oversight of all the players. What I always like to refer in terms of mobile money, when you think of mobile money, Director, is that mobile money is more like your highway. When you talk of your highway going to Johannesburg, maybe yes, you have to pay e-toll services, which is very minimal. But where you spend most of your money is around what is actually on the way to Johannesburg on the highway. So you need to look at your Shell Ultras and so forth on the side space. Have more players that will actually enable our customers to get goods and services. That through this highway, we are providing a platform that people can be able to pay for goods and services and ensure that the value added is on the side as you are on the highway. So we definitely are looking at that, and we have partnerships. The lending that we launched this year is also talking future. We want to have more partners that we can actually interact with and be able to provide more services to our customers.
Thank you, Sam. I'm loving the engagement in our chat box, yet I presentation. Maybe let me take this one from DG Mage. When are you looking at implementing a pre-authorization on Open API? Just quickly, it should be the final one, Sam.
Yeah, so that is actually something that it's not actually something new. Our customers have actually been asking us a similar question. So we're investigating that. And in the coming year, that's what we want to be able to do.
Thank you, Sam. For those that have just joined us, Sam has been speaking to the finer details around FinTech. He was speaking after the CEO gave a macro picture in terms of what is happening in the mobile money space, but of course overlapping into the broader digital technologies to transact, to make payments. At this point, I'd like to check if our next speaker is around. Good morning, Mr. Sabelo Mabuza from FinMark. Are you here? Mabuza, are you here, sir? All right. I would need to get I can introduce Mabuza. If you have
something here, Mantla, I'm just trying to set up. If you give me 2 minutes, I should be able to. You'll be able to see me.
In the meantime, I have a question for MTN CEO Wandile. There has been talk there are questions around the growth of mobile money, as indicated in your presentation that we currently have over 700 customers in MTN Mobile Money. The question then becomes, is MTN aspiring to be a bank, CEO?
Thanks, Mala, for the question. I think it's a very important question, perhaps for Maswati, because the banking environment is something that is growing. But I think at this stage, we're probably not particularly looking into becoming a bank, but we are mainly focusing on being a platform provider and the biggest platform provider in the Kingdom of Eswatini. So that is our short-term to medium-term plan. So the banking environment, we're really not looking at that at this stage. But we want to make sure that everyone, including the banking sector, participates in the platform business and making sure that we can then grow the FinTech over the next few years. So I think that is our strategy for now going forward, Mandla. Perhaps, I don't know, in 5 to 10 years, we could potentially looking at coming up with a digital banking license, but that is something that is in the long-term future. But currently, we are just focusing on growing as a platform provider.
Beautiful, well articulated. Let's transition to our next presentation by Sabelo Mabuza, who's going to take us through a presentation, Making Financial Markets Work for SME. Mabuza, good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I need a few confirmations before I can even tell you how am I today. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see your presentation. I can see you as well. I can even tell that you're seated next to Sakile or something.
Well, I think you think I'm seated with Sakile. I'm actually far away from Sakile. I'm in Manzini, should I tell you the truth. Anyhow, let me perhaps get myself ready to actually start off by thanking MTN for the opportunity to be here this morning. I think MTN and ourselves have a relationship now spanning for a few years, and we're quite relationship that we have. It has worked for all ourselves. Frankly, it is working very well in terms of the market that which we are actually serving, that is making financial markets work for the poor. In terms of an introduction, in terms of who are we? I'll start off by saying, and also to say, I work as a country coordinator for FinTech Trust. FinTech Trust is actually a market facilitator that is involved heavily across the SADC region. Our role basically doing lots of market facilitation, and we believe in doing lots of research to inform policy interventions. So the area that we've been asked to speak about today is one that is very close to our hearts. I am really looking forward to engaging with everyone. And I think what the session today provides in terms of the FinTech, and I think this is coming in at the right time, looking at the SME sector. We are sadly aware that the sector has been greatly affected by the COVID-19. One of the things that we would like to try and do as FinTech Trust is also to do research. In fact, we're at a stage where we're almost completing our research to sort of understand the impact of COVID-19 for our SME sector. We want to understand how has it affected their operations. We want to understand how their financial cash flows have been affected. We also want to understand the value chain around their. We do believe that with a proper understanding of these issues, that we will actually be able to come up and provide some solutions, so to speak. As I move on, then, I think it's important for me to just, in terms of our tagline, we'll make market work for the poor. And how do we do this? A strong component of this area is that we believe in actually promoting financial inclusion and indeed regional integration. It is for that reason that we have partnered with a number of players in country to actually use some of the evidence, some of the research that we're actually doing to inform policy interventions. And we really do believe that this is a sector that we need to get very closely with those who are poor. And so we also need to also address issues that affect the SME sector. So what is so important about this sector? I think it's important that I give an indication about this particular sector. But do realize that, if you will excuse me for a minute, I do realize that the SME sector is actually very important for us as an African nation, because over 70% of our people really depend on the sector, both for informal and informal purposes. Right. Next. But the thing about the sector is that as a continent, we are not really creating enough jobs for our booming youth population. And just to give you some indication, between 2015 and 2030, it is expected that 29 million new entrants will join the labor force annually. I'm not too sure whether that now does really hold water in view of the fact that we really have been greatly affected by the effect of COVID-19. So what do we actually see? 80% of our young people are in the informal sector, and they may really spend their entire working life in the informal sector. We realize that from studies that have been done, and I'm sorry that this is a bit old in terms of the years, but what we realized that in 2012, almost 200 million people aged between 15 and 24 were neither unemployed or unemployed or were in informal jobs with low productivity. Starts playing up again. And what we realized that the importance of the sector within the South African economy is that it is really contributing a lot towards their GDP. And also to take ourselves a bit further, let me bring in another case study that we actually see the importance of the sector. And we see this particularly in Germany. We see that the SME sector, for the largest share of the country's economic output, employs most workers, providing training, and in 2011, it contributed about half of German GDP. And they just account for just under 55% of added value. Of this sector in Deutschland, 3.6 are actually SMEs. And they employ roughly 21.6 million. And of those 3.6 SMEs, 11.8 million were actually working in the same sector, and they were employing between 10 and 490 employees. 3.6 million were working in small firms with fewer than 10 employees. And we noted that small enterprises with an annual turnover of 2 million euros were active in the foreign market. Let's bring it closer to home. So, closer to home, it must be really recognized that the sector, the MSME sector, plays a huge role in the contribution of livelihoods and economic development. And I just also want to then bring this to our country, Eswatini. For us to have a great understanding of the sector, we felt that we needed to actually do some research to, in a sense, get some accurate information about the SME sector. And we did this through a process called MAP SME. And what MAP did, it examined SME's growth potential as shaped by their entrepreneurial capacity. It identified the most binding constraints of the SMEs and their development. And the output was actually a diagnostic report and a roadmap that we actually developed. Do you guys hear me clear? I need a reaction.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay. I did get a sense that some people.
I hope you can time and again raise your head so that we can see your face as you engage with us.
Will you believe it that I was looking at my video because I think it is. At any rate, let's proceed. So I think it's important that I give you some indication of the sector, the SME sector. And in our approach, what we actually did is we felt that we needed to actually divide the sector, around about turnover and employment. We also felt that we needed to further divide the sector according to the impact that they actually have on the economy. And so in terms of turnover, we said that those which have high impact were around 250,000 to 800 million. And in terms of employment, they were employing about 50 people. So the medium sector, or rather the medium impact SMEs, were ones that were between, in terms of turnover, 250 to 8 million. But they were employing less than 4 people. And there's an error there. And then in terms of the low impact, we're looking at firms that were, say, had a turnover of 60,000 to 250,000. And again, these also had, less than 4 employees. So I think it's also important for you, Mtn, as you really begin to develop, and all our players, our partners within the fintech space, we think it's important to in a sense, that we really dissect and understand exactly what do we actually mean by these sectors that are actually identified. The characteristics really about the high impact was that they account for 4%. Most of the players within the sectors, from the sample that we were looking at, 87% of them were actually registered. 20% had business insurance, and a great majority of them were located in rural areas. For your medium impact, what we found was that they accounted for 17% of our sample, and 76% of them were not registered. 99% of did not have insurance. Again, they were all located in the rural area.
All right, excuse me. Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we have questions that cannot wait. Maybe we pause a bit. Alex, do you have a question that cannot wait for the presentation to be put to bed? Talk to me. I'm seeing a couple of hands, persistent hands, that is. Alex, I saw your hand was up. Maybe as our speaker gets an opportunity to drink some water. Alex, was your hand up?
No, Mr. Foot. I'm not sure if on the Alex, but no, from my side, no. Apologies.
I saw Alex. I also saw Lungile. Okay, the hands just disappeared.
We are fine. We are fine, Mandla. Thank you. Continue.
All right, fantastic. Please go ahead, sir.
Right, let me just do some admin as a result of this disturbance. So where were we? I was actually just about to talk about your low impact SMEs, and from the sample that we're looking at, we found that 80% of them were. We accounted for 80% within our study. And we found that 65% of them were actually not registered. 97% of them did not have business insurance. And again, like the others, they were all located within the rural areas. If we looked at participation of women, what we realized that it was really skewed towards low impact and your medium impact businesses. And whereas with your high impact, what we found was that the majority of our high impact business were in the manufacturing, agriculture, and the business services, and most of them were actually owned by men. What do we actually gain from these insights? Let me just provide you some of the summaries that we found. So we found that from the 59,000 business owners, shall we say 60,000, who were employing around 93,000 people. And for those 60,000 business owners, 77%, the business was their only source of income. And we noted that most of those businesses, they were all using cash for their transactions. So that again is an opportunity where we actually think we need to move away from this cash is king mentality. So we found 93% of all the 60,000 businesses were actually sitting and transacting using cash. We found that 84% of the owners were actually banked. But for their businesses, they continue to use their personal accounts rather than their bank accounts. They did not really borrow from the bank, and this is about 84% of these. They had limited access to credit, prevented them from capitalizing on the economic benefits. For the youth, what we found was that from the 60,000 business owners, we found that 26% were actually owned by youth aged between 18 to 34 years. And 31% were actually involved within the manufacturing sector. Whereas the same businesses, we found that only 9% were within the agricultural space. We noted that nearly 2/3 of the business owners that we sampled had secondary education. And so that did not really bode very well in the sense that they lacked adequate business and leadership management skills. The good side is that 55% of them were aware of the business support infrastructure. The downside, again, was that we noted that they were actually exposed to one-size-fits-all BSD, business development support services approach, which was actually limiting their capacity to be more effective. And what we noted was that for businesses to actually succeed, the environment needed to be great. And so we realized that of all the constraints that they were talking about, we realized that access to finance was one of the biggest constraints. The other constraints were around access to credit. They faced a lot of competition. They had limited space to operate from. And their access to regional and international markets was actually limited. And so what are we actually saying about local international market linkages, which we think are very important? And during this presentation, I did hear some of the discussions around a new digital platform that is being thought of. And so that really speaks to what we actually think is very important as well. So what we found was that all the SMEs were dependent on government for survival. Without any government tenders, they couldn't survive. So, and the other difficulty that they faced was that they couldn't penetrate your supermarket space, and so they also could not have access to shelf space. For those that had an opportunity to go internationally, what we noted was that the volumes involved were very, very low. And in terms of the sector, we noted that it was agriculture, agri-processing, and arts that had access to these markets. In the year, which is about 2018, 2019, the total supply of credit to SMEs, we valued that to around about 1.3 billion. And if we look at the structure, our financial structure, we have 4 banks, we have 3 DFIs, and we have 4 insurance companies. So these actually were inhibitors to access to credit. What people see when they see an SME is that there's so much risk that is associated with an SME. They talk about affordability of credit. They talk about the lack of access to collateral and strict lending terms. So these are really working against our SMEs. As I'm about to conclude, this would be some of the recommendations that we put forward in terms of our roadmap. And basically, we thought that 3 areas that we feel for now we need to actually look at. How do we stimulate SME economic growth? How do we improve access to finance? And how do we improve our business development support? So talking about SME growth, we will of the view that there is actually a need to develop enhanced policy and laws. So some of the support initiatives that run current institutions like SEPCO and the SME unit needed to actually be strengthened for better coordination and delivery of some of the capacity building programs that SMEs were actually faced with. With regard to stimulating growth, we thought there was need to actually develop policies which would actually try to promote local by Swati or some affirmative action for SMEs through government procurement. We also realized that there is possibly a need to actually promote access to credit. And that's what we thought would be through policies and initiatives that that would actually improve or talk about issues that relate to collateral, and also looking at creating opportunities for targeted blended finance. We were of the view that the current approach to SME development is not okay. So we are saying let's move away from your one size fits all and bring about, initiatives that will actually improve growth for SMEs. And so what are we then saying for this SME development or SME growth? We're saying we need to identify and develop action plans around priority value chains and ecosystems that will actually grow targeted SMEs. The value chains that we speak about, we feel will actually help SMEs leverage their relationship with buyers to access better markets and better financing opportunities. So how can we actually improve access to finance? And we are here suggesting that there is really a need to digitize payments across the value chains, which we are of the view that will actually increase operational efficiency. And what we are saying is that it is really time that some of these records that are actually developed by some of the users can actually be used somewhere, and they can actually form part of your credit history, so that if you are actually a good user of credit, and that can actually see your credit records through utility payments. Therefore, we feel that these can actually be used as one of the ways to actually recognize your ability to actually service credit. And so we're saying both providers and users of digital payments need to work together to grow and penetrate digital payments. And I think this really speaks to you, MTN, because this is exactly what you guys have actually been doing over the last few years. We're also saying probably let's look to increasing access to some various SME financing. Here we are looking at coming in and being more active within that stock exchange, and bringing different financial engineering schemes, which can also really be able to assist SMEs. And so we're saying for these SMEs to be more profitable, there is need to prioritize the development of innovation solutions to collateral issues, such as acceptance of more flexible forms of collateral. What are we thinking here? We are thinking, and this is an ongoing project that's been thought of, introducing an online collateral system, which would allow for movable property to actually be registered. The effect of that is, if you are on this online system, the next lender would know right away, because you've registered your collateral on this online system, they know right away that the product, or rather the lender, has actually committed their collateral to someone else. And so we conclude by saying, basically, we need different types of, funding levels, or different types of approaches to funding our SMEs. For instance, startup requires the DFI funding, or say your angel investors or grant funding, while more mature businesses utilize funding through bank debt, asset-based funding, private equities, and your venture capital. As I said, there is actually need to actually bring in another, what we call blended finance, which is a combination of funding instruments from sources such as government and your DFIs through angel investments. For your business development support, we are really saying there is actually a need to address barriers for women to promote their high growth enterprise. We need to actually be providing high quality and coordinated business development support for targeted SMEs in key sectors that will actually transform the economy. Here we are really talking about the need to move away from this one-size-fits-all approach in terms of building capacity for SMEs. There is actually a need to improve management and technical skills, including the use of suboptimal technology. We need to improve access to markets and information. And also the need to actually decrease some form of regulatory barriers. I have said the fact that there is a better need for coordination between our BDS entities. And we also need to then look at our targeted programs for women, youth, and other disadvantaged groups through SMEs, development strategies and programs, with additional specific and targeted initiatives directed at the critical roles. Lastly, we need to have a preferential procurement system. We are saying that our government needs to revisit seriously government procurement procedures and the extent that government avails a readily available and stable market for our women and our youth businesses. I think this really brings me to the end of my own discussion, and I'm really ready to accept questions, as I indicated that there were some hands that were up earlier.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mabuza, for that insightful presentation. I really like the way you closed it up so neatly with specific calls to action in terms of what needs to be done and shifting away from the one-size-fits-all approach. And I really liked how you mentioned how some of these interventions need to have a gender lens tailored to meet the specific needs of women, amongst other things. So we already have feedback from the participants. They truly appreciate your feedback. We have a comment from Lungile, a very insightful presentation, Mr. Mabuza. And then we have a question from Nondogozo Davidson on policy and laws. The country needs SMME-specific legislation similar to the Small Business Act in South Africa. The current Companies Act does not speak to the specific challenges faced by the sector. Your quick comments on that, Mr. Mabuza?
I think I really do believe that the business environment is always changing, and really at the time the law was actually crafted, things were not as they are really today. And so therefore I do agree with that view. And also I think what is also critically important is that we need to really address our business environment for SMEs. And maybe if we begin to address some of the bottlenecks that are actually identified through the World Bank Business Report, those will begin to allow us to not only just bring in new FDIs, which we believe that if the environment is good, FDIs are interested in coming to a country as an investment destination. That presents opportunities for our SME sector to actually leverage from the uptakes from these FDIs. So yeah, I think there is work that needs to be done around our entire policy and legislative environment. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mabuza, once again for that presentation. I think we are also getting feedback from participants that your presentation was extremely useful. We're running short of time now. We may need to be a bit faster so that we don't drag and therefore lose some participants. I'm not sure whether our break is ready. Are we ready with our break for a leg stretch?
There is a hand, Mr. Pongo, from Hillary. A guest. Maybe.
Thank you, Lungile. Hillary, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm seeing that.
See this. Yeah, please go ahead with the question.
Okay, mine is more of a comment that since it is integration of the poor, are there going to be, or won't we have less stringent requirements on collateral. Because once a person is poor, you don't expect high value of collateral. Rather, we should look at how they can service their debt effectively, given the small amount that they are afforded every now and then, until their businesses are strong. That was a comment that I had. Because basically, we are looking at the poor, and the poor don't have collateral. So if they are going to be integrated into the market system, then you have to find less stringent ways of requiring them to show some collateral for whenever they want loans, for example. Thank you.
Indeed. Mr. Mabuza, just your one-liner response, because I did hear you mentioning interventions tailored to the specific needs of SMEs. Your quick comment?
I think one realizes the fact that, the providers of capital are actually banks, and they also need to actually, in the bottom line, the shareholders that they are accountable to. What we can only do from the policy environment side is obviously to think about other alternatives which can actually be done without compromising, other businesses. The one thing that is being discussed at certain levels is obviously looking at a movable collateral register. Movable collateral register would allow, and it would allow for your banks and your providers of cash to now move away from the current notion of using immovable property as collateral. And I'm sure that this would actually really be able to assist those at the bottom of the pyramid, once they have other alternatives other than your immovable property. And so this is ongoing work that is actually being driven currently through a program that is being driven at other forums in country.
Thank you, Mabuza. Let's transition. Maybe let me thank you once again for your presentation. At this point, I'd like us to take a leg stretch, stand, walk, so that we are ready for the next presentation by the Central Bank of Eswatini, because the space that we're talking about is a regulated space. So the Central Bank of Eswatini is the regulator of this particular space on which we're engaging today. Let's take the brief commercial break, and then we will be back to welcome the Central Bank to take us through some of the bolts and nuts of the space. Thank you. I hope we're sorting the sound challenge. The sound was coming through, but it was too low. Please let us be assured that it's being sorted. Okay, I have received assurance that it's being looked into. Maybe in the interim, let's check what we have in our chat box. What we have is a compliment from Jody. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Mabuza. Great insights indeed. Are we great on sound? Are we good to go?
We're good to go.
Please go ahead, sir. It looks like we're still challenged. Is it a challenge on my end?
You can then I share.
Where you go, MTN. We can't get enough. We believe that every phone notification has a story. It's in the excitement in Babe's eyes when he receives that Momo SMS. Or when Margaret receives that call from her daughter, Ketsio. We can't get enough of Nomcebo's chat notifications. Sending hugs and kisses is the new normal. Every time we hear a phone notification, we see your reaction, and it's priceless. We appreciate you for trusting us all these years, which is why we have reduced our data prices, and we continue to build a reliable and fast network. A network that gives you the bank in your pocket. Plugs almost 1 million in Maswati to a high-speed digital highway, bringing the world to Eswatini and taking Eswatini to the world. So go on, enjoy your connectivity, laugh, play, and transact more because you deserve it. We're good together. Everywhere you go, MTN. We believe that every phone notification has a story. It's in the excitement in Babe's.
All right, thank you for that breather. It came through very well, and eventually we got those hugs and kisses from that breather. At this point, we are ready to proceed to our next presentation by the Central Bank of Eswatini. And I indicated before the commercial break that the space that we are diving in is regulated space, and the Central Bank of Eswatini is the regulator of the space. But today, they will not be talking about how they regulate the space, but they will be looking at interoperability. Interoperability. I'd like to check if our speaker is available. Is our speaker from the central bank around before we welcome her? Linda Dlamini Khumalo. Are you here?
Good morning, Mandla. I'm here.
Oh, good morning, Ngozi. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks.
It's great to have you. We're excited that you made it to this seminar. So I'll turn over the platform to you. Please take us through the content for the day. Thank you.
We're good. Let's start. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mandla. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be speaking to you today on the subject interoperability as an enabler for business growth. My name is Linda Dlamini Khumalo. As Mandla has mentioned, I work for the Central Bank of Eswatini. Our presentation today will cover what is interoperability, the types of interoperability in Eswatini, the drivers, the role of the regulator, the role of Fintechs, as well as the benefits. The Bank of International Settlements defines interoperability as the technical or legal compatibility that enables a system or mechanism to be used in conjunction with other systems or mechanisms. Interoperability allows participants in different systems to conduct, clear, and settle payments of financial transactions across systems without participating in multiple systems. In simple terms, it's the ability for different systems to connect with one another. And this is enabled through technology such as a payment switch or commercial agreements. We have three types of interoperability. namely the bilateral agreements, which usually exist between two providers who transact directly with each other on agreed terms. We also have multilateral agreements, which include 3 or more providers and a formalized set of shared common rules. There is also independent third-party solutions. These usually facilitate transactions between providers by connecting two providers or connecting the providers with their end users. On the next slide, we will see examples of the first two types. So we have the ATMs and point of sale network in Eswatini. This is supported by the multilateral agreements. And then we also see the other type, which is the bilateral, which exists between your MNOs and the banks. This is just between each MNO and the different individual banks, which allows for push and pull as well as ATM withdrawals. When we look at interoperability, we notice that there are certain drivers that make sure you get to achieve that full interoperability. We note that there's the legal framework, and when we look at it, there's just a need for the regulatory frameworks to provide for interoperability. For example, in our jurisdiction, we have the practice note for mobile money service providers. This one provides for interoperability as it requires those who are operating in the space to ensure that their systems are interoperable. We also have a provision for interoperability in our NPS legislation, which is currently under review. There is also a need to provide for the supervision and oversight of interoperable services to ensure there is proper risk management, fair and open access, effective consumer protection. There is also a need to ensure that you have the right infrastructure. So you need to have a robust payment and clearing platforms to support new and innovative payments options, e.g. your fast payments, NFC, and QR codes. The system also have to ensure that they comply with international standards on technology and security. And there has to be open and fair access to transaction channels, such as your USSD and ATMs. Those are just examples. And then the last driver, which is the market aspect, this one speaks to your business models. They have to be viable and sustainable. And there's a need for market players to determine market demand through data collection and analysis to inform product or service development. There is also a huge need for providers to raise awareness and educate customers to promote the use of digital payments. I was happy to hear Sam mention that they are continuously educating even the elderly on how to use Momo. Since we know that interoperability cannot be achieved by one single player in a market, there's need for cooperation and collaboration amongst all the stakeholders in your payment space. Okay. When we speak of interoperability, the regulator has a certain role to play. First, the regulator usually sort of gives guidance to the industry on how to achieve interoperability. There are 3 known approaches that regulators usually use. There's mandating, where a regulator will usually issue a directive to say all services have to be interoperable. But for a regulator to issue such, usually there has to be it has to be supported by the 3 drivers we mentioned previously. So for a regulator to even start saying all services have to be interoperable, we have to be sure that the infrastructure is there, the regulatory frameworks provides for that, as well as we have those market aspects that speaks to the interoperability. And then a regulator can also strongly recommend interoperability or just encourage. As a regulator, it is our mandate to ensure a safe and efficient payment system. So what we want to see is seamless payments with no pain points to both consumers and providers. That will definitely promote financial inclusion. We also play a role that can be like a catalyst role by setting the stage for interoperability through ensuring that there's an enabling environment and the infrastructure is the required one. We also want to see costs going down. That is for both the consumer and the service providers. We do not endorse exclusive agreements between participants, even though at times it's not easy to totally be against this, because at times when your market is not ready yet, this is the only way you can achieve interoperability. We also do not, like our practice note for mobile service providers prohibits agents exclusivity as well. The regulator needs to understand potential new risks that are posed by the interoperability of banks and non-banks. That should speak to legal, operational, and financial risks. And as a regulator, we need to know how to address such risks while maintaining a level playing field for all players. Looking at the role of fintechs, we note that lack of interoperability limits the scope of fintech innovations, as fintechs usually take advantage of existing systems and technologies to create new products and services. Therefore, interoperable and fast systems for payments and settlement provide the critical infrastructure for innovative fintech payment solutions. As the central bank, we have a regulatory sandbox, and in that sandbox, we have observed that a number of fintechs are interested in providing third-party solutions, mostly to link providers with consumers. We currently have one participant who is testing a solution in the sandbox. And for someone who's asking themselves at the back of their mind, what is a regulatory sandbox? In a nutshell, it allows for the live testing of innovative financial products, services, and business models in a controlled environment under the supervision of the regulator. Lastly, we look at the benefits of interoperability. Interoperability can increase efficiency in the national payment systems. That is through shared infrastructure that can increase transactional speed and volumes and increase competition within the financial sector. It also results in operational resiliency and fraud detection. We all know that digital transactions leave an audit trail. For providers, interoperability presents an opportunity to increase transaction volumes and create new business opportunities. It also presents an opportunity for revenue sharing amongst the service providers. Interoperability can also result in reduced costs from access to a wider customer base and the increased efficiencies. For governments, interoperability is considered important for financial inclusion because it has the potential to introduce economies of scale and scope, create network effects, and allow customers to easily carry out desired transactions. The unbanked and people with limited access get to be able to access other access points and networks, even though they are not clients of those networks. For merchants and customers, it supports seamless receiving of funds and making of payments for goods and services, and in the process promoting economic activity, resulting to economic growth. It further reduces reliance on cash, which reduces the costs associated with cash handling, as well as other risks such as money laundering. To end my presentation, I'd like to state that the ideal situation for our economy is to have all the players interconnected. It is the desire of the central bank to make this possible through the proposed domestic switch, which will facilitate customer convenience and efficiencies through seamless push and pull of financial transactions between banks and non-bank financial service providers. This will result in increased economic activity, which translates to business and economic growth. When the CEO spoke earlier, he mentioned some future projections, and they all speak to business growth, and they all speak to interoperability. Thank you, Mandla.
Thank you again for your presentation. Very clear, very articulate, and I'm checking the chat box and I'm not seeing anything. Maybe it's the extent to which this was clear. Yeah, thank you so much for that presentation. I was excited to hear things like the central bank's aspiration to support seamless payments across actors, discouragement of exclusivity in agreements, and yeah, to learn about Sandbox. Yeah, it's not just a box full of sand, but live testing of innovation. That was quite insightful. Let's check if we have feedback coming through from our participants. I think we have a comment. Let me check. Very clear, Linda, and informative. Thank you. That is from Lungile Mzizi. Yeah, this was just too clear. Let me just throw a random question. Do you have, as the Central Bank of Eswatini, do you have specific initiatives through which you are encouraging interoperability among service providers?
Thank you, Mandla. As mentioned earlier, like in our practice note, we encourage interoperability. And I was very happy to hear Sam mention that sometime this month you'll be launching interoperability. I want to assume that's between the existing mobile money wallets in the country. So yes, as the central bank, we do encourage interoperability. It's also the reason why we are considering, why we are looking at establishing a payment switch in the country, because this will definitely ensure that we achieve full interoperability in the market. Because at the moment, it's just between, let's say, two providers at a time, or just a provider and a bank. Yet what we want to see is full interoperability, which involves all players. Because when I go to the market to buy vegetables or fruits, I don't want to get to the market and then I need to pay. I myself don't like carrying cash. And then I get there, I probably want to pay her, but she has maybe a mobile money account and I don't have, but I have a bank account. When I get to that lady at the market, I have to be able to pay her direct from my account, irrespective of the bank, and straight to her mobile wallet. So that is what we are trying to achieve as the central bank. Thank you.
So that would define what it means to have a payment switch. Does that picture you've just articulately painted speaks to what a payment switch is?
A payment switch definitely supports the picture that I've just painted. So it makes it possible. Remember when I spoke to the drivers, I mentioned the infrastructure. So a payment switch would be that infrastructure that would enable us as a country to achieve that.
Fantastic. We are getting feedback from our participants. We have one from Hillary. Good presentation and thank you. Looking forward to seeing the local payment switch. We would want to thank you at this point for the presentation you've taken us through. Very insightful and very informative. I'm sure that we will be getting feedback as we proceed with this engagement session. Thank you once again for coming through. At this point, we will move on to the next presentation by Cedric. Before I introduce Cedric, do we have Cedric around here? Cedric, good morning. Maybe as we wait for Cedric, there is a comment from Digimage. Is the switch going to be established by the Central Bank of Eswatini or EBA?
Okay, Mandla, I can quickly come in.
Okay, thank you.
The switch is a national project. The central bank is in the lead, but it involves the entire industry. So the EBA, through the different banks, are part of the project, as well as the MNOs. They are also part of the project. So it's a national project. It doesn't just belong to the central bank.
And MNOs standing for?
mobile network operators who at the moment offer mobile money services.
Thank you for that clarification. We're getting a lot of education today. I want to believe that Cedric is here. Thank you once again for that insightful presentation, Linda. Cedric, good morning and welcome to this seminar.
Good morning, Mantla, and good morning to everyone. Very, very happy to be with you all today.
We're excited to have you. How are you feeling today?
Yes, I'm okay. A lot of exciting things happened this year, actually. With the unfortunate situation we are all in, we actually, I wouldn't say it was an opportunity, but actually we found that what we do was more useful than ever, to be able to pay digitally and to connect, to send money to families. So very busy, very, very busy in the context we are all in this year.
All right, thank you. Cedric is the General Manager for Mobile Financial Services Product and Strategy at MTN Group. So at this point, Cedric, please go ahead with the presentation. Once again, thank you for coming through.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Mantla, and hi again to everyone. So this morning, I thought that it would be useful perhaps to share with you a little bit of what MTN has been actually doing over the past few years and what we basically see ourselves, delivering in the continent through our FinTech business. So in the slide that you see, what we try to present is, the actual impact that MTN FinTech is having in Africa. In actually accelerating financial and digital inclusion. And it's important to talk about financial and digital inclusion from an MTN perspective because we believe that these two streams are actually pillars and foundation for social and economic growth. So I'm starting with the yellow part, of course, but looking at the consumer side, as MTN today, we have mobile money operating in 16 countries. We are the number one FinTech in most of the country where we operate. And we have more than 85 million wallets, with over 40 million of these wallets using mobile money on a monthly basis. And, the question around the footprint is important because I will talk about interoperability later and explain, what we are doing in this space. But we really believe that mobile money is also an enabler for, more economic inclusion within Africa. It's also an enabler to facilitate remittance, trades, and so on, and commerce. Between countries, in between countries in Africa, and we are very, very eager to participate to that and to enable that beyond communication and into payments. The second thing we are really have been focusing on over the past few years is actually to extend our platform to businesses. And what we did for that is we sort of identified, I would say, 3 segments, and we developed 3 platforms for that. So the first platform that we've enabled is called Momopay, that many of you knows, that is live in most of our markets. And Momopay is basically a product targeting, or that has been built with the spirit of small merchants, mom and pop shops, that want to accept payments but don't necessarily can afford a smartphone or a POS device or even a bank account. And we end up with a product that's enable a merchant with a simple feature phone to be able to accept a payment from a mobile money customer. And today, I can say that we actually see an increased usage of Momopay by small merchants across our footprint this year, because beyond enabling digital payments, Momopay also enable merchants to accept payment remotely. And this is, a potential for growth for many merchants. So today we have more than 370,000 merchants across our footprint that accept mobile money as a means of payments. Now, beyond accepting payments, Momopay also enable merchants to, pay their supplier, pay their customer, pay their employees, purchase and sell airtime and generate commission. But beyond that, actually, our vision is that we want to even bring, through partnership, financial service to this very merchant by creating data on their transaction, their history, their customer. We can actually, come to a level of risk assessment and enable them to have access to loan and therefore accelerate their business further. And for us, it's a great success, and we are not done with the product that we will continue to bring to that very segment that we strongly believe is one of the key driver for actually employment, economic and social growth across Africa. The second product that we've developed to address the business segment is called Momo Business. So Momo Business is more of a product targeting, medium-sized companies. So it's a simple web interface that enable basically any companies to be able to pay salaries, with a simple file upload, to also collect payment from their customer, to issue a bill on an email, to pay their supplier, very much like Momopay, but a little more, I would say, sophisticated because it's more digital. It exists on the web interface, so it has a little more functionality. And then I'm moving to the more of the purple side. What we've also done over the past few years is that we enable and open our APIs. And what we realize is that beyond the fact that, opening our APIs has actually enabled us to engage with the developer community, it has also enabled businesses to think about using mobile money as a platform deeper. So today we have a community of more than 10,000 developers across Africa engaging or that have engaged with our open API platform. And what we are very excited about is that as a Pan-African FinTech operator, we actually have these developers and this community that is also Pan-African. And we really find it fantastic because we strongly believe in innovation. And we also strongly believe that innovation will not necessarily come from MTN itself. So we want to engage with the businesses, with the entrepreneurs, with the developer through this platform to really accelerate financial and digital inclusion, to innovate. And we've made our platform available, and we are committed to continue, increasing the capabilities that will enable businesses, entrepreneurs, and developers to innovate around mobile money, launch new products, and so on and so on. One very, interesting fact and very concrete fact is, as you know, mobile money as a business rely on a very, very significant agent network to enable consumers at the basic level to do a deposit and withdraw onto their wallet. As we speak, we have more than 500,000 of these single points of distribution across our footprints. And what we are very proud about is that, these agents operate every day. They earn commission from the business they are making on mobile money, and it is paying salaries. And we are very proud that, beyond executing our strategy and increasing our ecosystem, what we do is also enabling many jobs creation across the continent. The innovation that is happening around mobile money has also enabled, many first time for many households. One of them is actually access to energy. So through our platform and in partnership with solar power companies, we've actually enabled for the first time more than 500,000 households across our footprint to have access to energy for the first time. And this was enabled through enabling, micro or even nano payments, daily payments, and installments for solar kits by a mobile money customer. And this is just to give you an idea of, what actually mobile money enables. It enables many businesses to digitize their process and to digitize their payment, to reach out to more customers. And, prepaid solar power is just one example of the many things that is happening around the mobile money ecosystem. The four things we've been working on hard is also to work closely with government and regulators to facilitate, tax collection use case, emergency social funds disbursements. We are working with the World Food Programme, with the United Nations in many countries to facilitate that, but also to facilitate donation from consumers and from businesses at a very, very large scale. In many countries also we facilitate school fees and universities tuition fees payments and installment as well. So these are some of the many use cases that we are doing with governments as well as with NGOs. Now, when it comes to interoperability, we are very, very committed to accelerate trade and remittance in Africa. One of the artifact of this commitment is actually our investment and venture into Moali. So Moali is a company that is operating an interoperability platform, and that we, as MTN Group, hold together with Orange Group, but that is open to any mobile money operator in the continent. And we really created this platform with the spirit of reducing the actual transaction and technology cost of making an interoperable transaction. What we saw as a barrier for interoperability is actually the cost. And what we believe in is that scale will enable to reduce cost and thus enabling interoperable transaction to be cheaper for consumer. This platform today is powering 3 regional and inbound corridor into Africa, and we are really working hard to enable this platform in more countries. So it can be used, for instance, by any country, any central bank to facilitate local interoperability. But also the benefit is that because it's part of a Pan-African initiative, it can be used as well to enable remittance. Within Africa as well as outside Africa to Africa. Now, I would say the last thing we've been working hard on is around remittance. Today we've been able to connect many of our operations, not only with the MTN operation, but with the Vodacom operation, with the Airtel operation, and many other across our footprint to facilitate regional remittance. The very last thing I would like to speak about is, what we are doing in partnership with financial institutions around, bringing true real financial service beyond payments, beyond deposits, beyond wallets to our customers, being business and consumers. And, as we speak, we have more than 12 million of our customers across our footprint that have actually access to emergency loans. And these customers can get a loan in a matter of seconds just by using their phone, and they receive the loan on their wallet. As a result, we actually facilitate the disbursement of 60,000 loans per day within our platform. We also are working hard with banks and microfinance in enabling micro and nano savings. So we have 10 million customers today using that product. And finally, we have a venture that is called IO. And with this venture, our vision is really to bring insurance service to a very, very large scale. We've just reached more than 10 million customer being registered to our IO insurance service across the footprint. So that was just to give you an overview of what we are doing, why we are doing it, and also the result and the impact of it in the countries where we operate. I would say, and really emphasize as a closing remark, that the enablement of the mobile money API platform, as well as of the Momo business platform in Eswatini, for me is really a big opportunity. The first thing is, when you look at the Open API platform, I would say that if you think about it, it will be able to be used by a business operating in Eswatini to first innovate, probably in Eswatini, or adopt this API to digitize certain payment or certain transaction or certain business, but also beyond Eswatini, because it is one platform that covers all our footprints. And that, I think, is a massive opportunity for any business. I think the second thing is that we strongly believe, that innovation is, to reach the level of innovation we need, we won't be able to do it alone. At MTN, we really believe in the spirit of togetherness. One of the big teams we have is called Good Together. And, the Open API platform is really a materialization of that spirit, because we recognize that, we won't be able to solve all the problems for all the customers, for all the businesses alone. However, by offering ourselves as a platform and working together with entrepreneurs, businesses, and developers to solve the specific problem of, people and business across our continent, we can really, really make a difference together. And so I'm really confident and excited to see, all the amazing things that will happen over the next few months and years as we continue developing together the mobile money and digital and financial inclusion agenda. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Cedric, for that brilliant presentation. We already have feedback coming through from participants. This one is from Ryan. Thank you, Cedric, for the good presentation of Group's vision. Are there plans for cost-effective small to medium investment services to be incorporated into Momo? How can we engage you to have a conversation on this? I'm not sure if you'd want to quickly comment on that, Cedric.
Yes, certainly. As I said, we believe in partnership and in the spirit of togetherness. So you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Sam, I'm sure, or even Bali, and we'll be happy to have a conversation around it. We see ourselves as a marketplace, and so the more partner we have on the platform offering the highest number of service, so long that they respect regulation, certain guidance and principle to protect consumer and businesses, we are very, very happy to enable it on our platform, and so we are very committed to that. So let's talk and let's start the conversation.
Thank you for that, Cedric. We will be sharing a link on the chat box. We encourage everybody who has been part of this session to register. We will make it worth your while. We will send you something nice. So please have a look at the link. It has just been dropped by Sakile. make sure that you register, fill in your details so that we're able to keep in touch with you beyond this session. We are almost at the tail end of our program. We have one more presentation to go. I want to encourage you once again, please do register in the link that has been provided in our chat box so that we can keep this conversation going. The truth of the matter is that we will not be able to exhaust all the things that we want to do around the space. So getting your contact details would enable us to keep this conversation going. As we get to the close of this session, our considered view as MTN is that FinTech is an enabler for financial inclusion. And that takes us to a presentation from the Center for Financial Inclusion. If I'm not mistaken, it is Nomcebo. Nomcebo, are you here?
Hi, Mandla.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're just still battling with technology quickly. Please be patient for 2 seconds.
All right, that's fine. I hope that we are registering through that link so that we have all the details. And please do feel free to engage with the other speakers as well. Feel free to engage with Cedric. And maybe a quick comment as we wait for our last speaker to start. A quick comment. I'm not sure if Sammy is still around. A quick comment around what Ryan was saying around the plans for cost-effective small to medium investment services to be incorporated in more. Do you have a comment on that? Are we ready?
Hi, Mandla.
Oh, are we ready with our final presentation?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay. Can I just take the opportunity to thank MTN for allowing us to present this morning. As introduced, my name is Nomcebo Hatebe. I'm actually sitting at the Center for Financial Inclusion. I'm a policymaker by profession. I'm passionate about development finance, hence financial inclusion. I don't know if you can see my presentation at the moment. Can you?
I think it's coming.
Okay.
But I'm sure that it's coming.
Share content. Okay. Yes. Is it there? Okay. Okay. Are we there yet?
Yes, we are there. There we go.
Okay.
We are good.
So, as indicated, I work for the Center for Financial Inclusion. We are a policy advocacy unit of the Ministry of Finance. Everybody's been going on about how government must participate in the forefront. Well, at least government is here with us at this point. The CFI is actually an agency that is set up to implement the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, which was launched in 2017. We currently aim to facilitate access and usage of affordable financial services and products, particularly for the low-income groups of eMaswati and unbanked population. Our mandate is actually to bridge the gap between policymakers, regulators, service providers in a view to enhance access, usage, and quality of financial services. I repeat, we're just a policy advocacy center, but we have a large footprint. We currently have, we work with different stakeholders. Okay, sorry. Please, sorry, Manlet, please just bear with us quickly. The presentation is not showing.
Actually, it is showing from our end. I'm able to see the presentation.
Okay, so it's basically communication that is breaking up between us. Either way, Mandla, at the moment, we're working on another financial inclusion program called the FinClude, which is a partnership between International Fund for Agricultural Development. And you will have noted on our slides, we have the logo of IFAD, investing in rural people. So that is why we're there. But the government of Eswatini is actually the loan owner, and the Ministry of Finance is the designated account, as in the who owns the loan, and we are just the implementing agency. As indicated, we are cemented on the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, which is a strategy aiming to improve financial inclusion in the parameters of access, usage, quality, and welfare. Our focus areas are rural finance, agricultural finance, microfinance, MSE financing, and we see potential of bundling use of FinTech to provide the solutions to the focus areas. Sabelo will have mentioned this morning that we are in partnership with FinMark Trust. They are the producers of the FinScope data, and we do another review documents in line to ensure that we do empirical-based policy formulation. One of our reports shows that the use of financial services since 2014 to 2018 has grown by 21%, meaning that the population that is financially included is now at 500,000. In terms of percentage, we're realizing that 87% of the population of Eswatini is now financially included. What does that mean? It means Emaswati have different forms of access to financial services. It could be banking services, mobile money services, non-bank financial services, but it is a lot of other financial services. But we're seeing the access point now at 87%. Our aim at the moment is now to shift the focus from access to ensuring that we maintain welfare and that the quality of the financial services that Emaswati are using are in line with them graduating from poverty to being self-sustaining. In our understanding from the Financial Inclusion Center is that FinTech is generally defined as innovative technology applied to financial services. I won't go into the definitions as they have been highlighted on the presentation. In a nutshell, we're saying technology-enabled financial innovation. You have this morning been listening to one major product of FinTech, being mobile money. But from a financial inclusion perspective, we view the following as other forms of FinTech: biometric ID, cloud, crowdfunding, alternative credit scoring, cross-border remittances, digital KYC processes, RegTechs, and blockchain. And the most prominent one in Eswatini is mobile money. And the good thing about it is it talks to our target group, and they are the ones that are the users of it. Why FinTech for financial inclusion? Well, I think from a literature point of view, I did say that we're an empirical-based center whereby we do policy based on research. We know that we can achieve at least 7 out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals if we use financial inclusion as a medium for growth. Complementary to that, the World Bank and the IMF have launched the Bali FinTech Agenda, which is now cementing that FinTech is an enabler for financial inclusion. We've seen examples of that in Africa, whereby Kenya took the lead. We were really overwhelmed at how it grew the country's access to finance. There are 12 policy elements which are aimed at helping member countries to harness the benefits and opportunities of rapid advances in financial technology that are transforming the provision of banking services while at the same time managing the inherent risk. We note that FinTech has the potential to meet our target group's needs, and therefore we really do advocate for it. We also note that we need a combination of a rapid pace of innovation in financial services and commitment to financial inclusion, especially from policymakers and regulators, so that we can breach the gap. This is the last mile. Consumers with high quality financial services. I did say one of the pillars of financial inclusion is the welfare. Are we really changing the lives of Emaswati through the use of financial services? But there are certain pillars that we need to have in place. We need to build digital identification and eKYC systems so that we simplify access to financial systems. COVID has taught us that we need to do business differently. And without breaching regulation, we need to be innovative in a regulated environment. Once these are in, we can do that. We can then start to say businesses and individuals can access finance. Sabelo did speak earlier that one of the barriers for MSMEs was an issue of access to finance. However, to build an eKYC system, we need to start to apply the risk-based approach to regulation even more. But we need to start to look at the digital payment infrastructure and open electronic payment systems as a way to facilitate digital financial flows in the economy. Linda spoke about our domestic switch, and we do encourage that from a policy perspective and advocacy role to say, let it be put in place and let it be owned by all the players that are responsible for financial inclusion. The combination of account opening and access with electronic provisions of government services, particularly for public transfers and payments, to scale up the use of digital services. Sam spoke about how mobile money this morning is now being used for grants. This is what we encourage. We want to see that. But we also want to encourage that it should not just be transactional. It should be a mechanism for saving, whereby we're saying that it's not just to receive, but the elderly and other groups are now saying, with the money that I receive as a grant, I will save a percentage, but then it also comes in whereby we need to now, as the CFI, come in with a carrot to say, how are the service providers giving the savers a benefit from using the platform to save? Or is it easier for me to just take my money and go spend it, or rather than save for the future? So we need to then go back and say we need to encourage a culture of savings amongst Emaswati. And the design of digital financial markets and system, one thing that you cannot do is have a one-size-fits-all. You cannot copy from a neighboring country and say it will work. Emaswati are unique. You need to understand them, and then you can build a system that is tailor-made for their needs. I, at this present moment, would want to send money to Galavumisa, but I need it to be different from a person in Kenya who will need to save it 2 miles away because of the proximity and the centers where I can actually cash in. The last one is that we need to have regulatory approaches that support and adapt to these 4 pillars. The major journey for any economy is that we need to work together to support digital economic development. The gist of my presentation was basically to say the importance of FinTech for financial inclusion. FinTech is a game changer for financial inclusion. We have the evidence to show that with FinTech, we can grow any economy. But what we need to do is, with the use of FinTech, we need to start to build a stable financial system that is resilient, that people can trust. And because we've noted that once people don't trust the financial system, they tend to move away. Yet we want to ensure that we bring them into the formal financial system. And the other thing is, with a formal financial system that is stable, we have noted that it then attracts foreign direct investment, which is one of our economic goals. And this will ensure that economic growth, thus resulting in structural transformation of inclusive growth. FinTech can potentially contribute to both financial stability, inclusion, integrity, and consumer protection. Why do we say that? The inclusion part is very important because without the inclusion, We do not know certain people that are now not in the formal financial system, which is our biggest risk. The risk of not knowing what other consumers are doing creates a risk for money laundering and terrorism purposes. But with an inclusive financial system, it then links into integrity and stability. And the one thing is, because we are creating a credit identity for our users on the fintech systems, we are saying that the consumers are protected because these are platforms that are now tested and tried and tested, and they are benefiting the consumers. In other words, we're saying fintech has the potential to reduce information asymmetry and moral hazards. Because we have a clear identity, we know that Nomcebo uses the money to do A, B, C, and D. And therefore, if I borrow, for example, using Momo, I borrow money, we know that the risk of me diverting those funds to other to consumption credit would be limited because of the nature. You can see the pattern. Therefore, we have a credit history of an individual. Again, we're saying fintech is there to assist us to deliver accessible financial products and services. Therefore, the key theme that we learned this year from COVID is leaving nobody behind. In conclusion, we are saying fintech can be a game changer for financial inclusion. We, however, need to note that we need to make sure that we do innovation in a controlled environment. We need to maintain the integrity and stability of the financial system. And we note innovations in Eswatini, whereby a FinTech Joint Working Group has been formed to develop a common understanding among regulators and policies so that we can leverage on FinTech to grow financial inclusion. It is important that we start to view FinTech as a game changer because of the sectors that we work with. The farmers and the informal traders need real-time solutions because they do not have the liberty of going to bank or cash in, but they need solutions that are quick and easy to use. Let me end there and say, let's just make sure we use FinTech to grow Eswatini's economy and leave nobody behind. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation. I would once again encourage you to register. We have an incentive of data, 1 gigabyte of data that you would walk away with, provided you register that you did participate in the session today. We appreciate the engagement that's ongoing in the chat box. There is one from Tandwa V. Lushaba. What is the Center for What is CFI's stand on blockchain use for financial inclusion? Your quick reaction to that question?
I think, thank you, Mandla, for the question, and thank you, Tanda. Now, with any innovation, you need to assess the risk and the welfare benefits of it. We, as a CFI, do not have a specific stand, but we need to do all innovation within the regulatory environment. Linda was speaking about RegTechs and Sandboxes this morning. Are we sure about it and make sure that it will not deter consumer protection? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that response and for the presentation as well. And I'd like to thank participants for staying until the last presentation. I have a comment from Nondogozo Davidson. Do we have any P2P lending platforms in Eswatini? Do you think Emaswati are ready for person-to-person lending and equity crowdfunding? And what can be done to promote these as alternative financing sources to conventional loans? I'm not sure who amongst our panel could possibly assist with this question from Nondogozo. But as we look for a resource person to respond to this question, I am tempted to award Nondogozo an incentive for pushing the most in terms of engaging comments, questions, and contributions in this session. So Nontokozo wins 1 gig of data, 1 gigabyte of data for that level of engagement. So I've had to exercise my discretion as facilitator to get this done. Otherwise, it was not part of the script, not part of the plan. So we were just excited to have you engaging robustly. As we speak, we're still looking for somebody to respond to your question. From our resource persons, who can respond to the question? Any alternatives for funding? Cedric, are you around? Sam, are you around? The CEO tendered his apologies. He has a competing engagement, so he's not with us right now. Who could respond to the question from Nontokozo? Do we have any P2P lending platforms? Eswatini, do you think Emaswati are ready for P2P lending and equity crowdfunding? And what can be done to promote these as alternative financing sources to conventional loans? Sam, are you here?
Yeah, I'm trying to get. Yes, thank you, Mandla.
Yeah, please.
I think
sorry. Hi, sorry, before Sam comes in, we don't have any P2P platforms in Eswatini at the moment, but we note the issue of crowdfunding. What we need to maintain and look at is to ensure that they are genuine. One of the biggest problems we've had as a country is all these schemes that are coming in. Some are covered as crowdfunding, yet they could be money laundering schemes or other schemes. But we need to ensure, I think if you note my presentation, it was stemmed around stability, integrity, and consumer protection. Now, you cannot just allow any sort of funding scheme to come into the country covered as an initiative for development, yet it has the potential to actually rip off Emaswati. So as we look into aspects of crowdfunding, let's assess the risk of them. Are they genuine? Is one of the things we need to look at. Thank you for that.
All right, thank you for coming through. Do you have additional comments, Sam? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think my comment, Mandla, was to actually direct this question to either one of our regulators or the policymakers, as we are actually players and we are always willing to innovate. And at times, when you innovate, you may get ahead of yourself because we're always trying to fulfill a customer need. So the question is actually well positioned in that customers may need that, but there are always the risks. So I think what Nomcebo has actually answered is actually what I think was what I was going to say around that. The appetite is always there for the players, but we need to make sure that the environment is conducive enough to protect the consumers as well.
Now that I have Sam on the platform, we have Odrimnisi from another platform, I think from Facebook. Her question is that what is MTN's strategy in curbing the rise in fraud involving mobile money? Sam?
So we will continue to have, as in any products that have to do with innovative facilities, there's always fraud or people who will try to do fraudulent activities around this. So the risk is always there. So from an MTN perspective, what we continuously do, because we come from an MTN family where in some operations it's actually advanced, so we pick up on learnings that we find in other operations, what they've actually picked, and come back and try and put in measures to actually protect our customers around that. That is the first one around what we do internally. But what we have to do externally and continuously do so is the awareness and educational programs that we always are pursuing in terms of the public through the radios, the media, and so forth. But also, what is also key is the educational programs that we have with our agents on the ground. At times, you may find that even those agents might be part of the fraudulent activities, but we do actually penalize those that we find have actually taken part in that. So as an entity, we'll continuously learn from other OPCOs and also continuously educate our customers around possible fraudulent means.
Okay, thank you, Sam. This one I'll push it to Linda from the Central Bank. It's a comment from Gosnati Mavimbela. In fact, a question. Perhaps what's of interest is finding a balance between encouraging fintech to enhance financial inclusion and maintaining the integrity and stability of our financial systems. It is important for the central bank to strengthen our fintech regulation for the interest of all eMaswati, whilst looking to close the financial inclusion gap. Ngozi, your quick comment on this? It's a comment, actually, it's not a question.
Thank you, Mandla. I fully agree with the comment. It's what I can maybe say is that with fintechs and the innovations, usually they are far ahead in terms of regulation. It's usually the innovation first and then the regulation. I'll make an example of mobile money. When mobile money came in 2011, we didn't have any regulation in terms of mobile money. So what we did was to look at what other central banks had done and probably take the same route. So we sort of used test and see approach, which is more of your sandbox approach. So what you do is you allow the innovation to continue, and then you are observing as a regulator. So while you are observing, that's when you get to understand what sort of regulation you need to come up with for that specific product. So in terms of fintech, most of the innovations that come through fintechs, they are not regulated yet. So that is why we even have the sandbox. So the sandbox allows us as a regulator to just observe that specific activity, and then it informs us in terms of what steps to take next in terms of regulation.
Okay, thank you so much, Ngozi, for that comment, insightful. We're almost at the tail end of our program today. I would like to encourage you once again, please make sure that you have registered so that we're able to send you 1 gig of data. And it has been a pleasure having you around here. At this point, I want to thank you for your participation, your active participation and your engagement. There was a high level of engagement across all the platforms where we are airing this seminar. So as I close, let me turn it over to Sam, who's going to make the final comments on this seminar, just to thank partners and participants for coming through. Otherwise, from my side, thank you for your collaboration. Sam?
Thank you, Mandla. Thank you so much to our speakers, all participants, our esteemed guests. On behalf of our host, the CEO, I want to thank you all for participating in this very important session. Clearly, what we picked up from this session, what I picked up is that definitely fintech or financial technology enhances financial ecosystem, and is also a building block towards building our economy and growing our businesses. And also what I've actually picked up and from the various speakers is that we need to continuously collaborate. Fintech will thrive, I mean, where there is a thriving regulatory environment that's conducive for everyone. And also the policymakers that have actually been speaking here, and the NGOs that assist the players, if they work together with the players, we can actually grow the space. I want to thank you all and say let's continue to collaborate and work together to building our economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. As we get ready to leave, Africa is going to give us something to get us off our seats. And please do make sure that you've registered so that we proceed with the engagement after this session. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye.
Africa, over to you.
Are you independent, confident with a do-it-yourself attitude? Then both the My Mtn Eswatini and Momo apps are made just for you. My Mtn Eswatini is a zero-rated app that allows you to manage your account independently. There is lots you can do with the app, like buying voice and data bundles for yourself or others, checking your balances, keep track of your usage, use the card to buy up to 10 bundles at once, search or browse for products in the shop. All this and much more conveniently packaged into one app. To download the My Mtn Eswatini app, go to the Google Play Store, search for My Mtn Eswatini, select and click install. Once the app is installed, click open and follow the prompts to enter your number, then click verify number. A verification SMS will be sent with a one-time PIN. Enter the 4-digit PIN sent to you and presto, you're in. The MTN Momo app is the next best thing as it provides total and convenience of everything Momo. These are some of the cool things you can do with the app. Send and receive money quickly and easily. Pay bills such as water, DSTV, school fees, insurance, and more. Buy airtime, data, and voice bundles. The MTN Momo app also allows you to transfer funds to bank accounts with our partner banks. To download the MTN Momo app, go to Google Play Store or iOS Store, search for MTN Momo, select and click install. Once the app is installed, click open and select Swaziland. Then follow the prompt to enter your number, followed by a prompt to enter your Momo PIN. A verification SMS will be sent with a one-time PIN. Enter the 4-digit PIN and just like that, you can live cashless with the MTN Momo app. We're good together. Everywhere you go, MTN.